Teaching number 135. I come full of love and clothed in patience to make myself understood by everyone. Console yourselves in me. Eat and drink so that you can calm your hunger and thirst for justice. I want the misunderstood by humanity to feel understood by me, and the one who felt his hand empty, when he got up after hearing me, feel that he carries gifts with him. That the one who has come before my presence bringing remorse in his spirit, the listener feels discharged from all this and can raise his face like that adulterous woman of the second era, when I told her, "Where are those who persecute you? I forgive you, go in peace and sin no more." I am the divine judge, who never applies a greater sentence to the fault. How many of those who accuse themselves before me, I find clean. On the other hand, how many proclaim limpidity, and I find them perverse and guilty. How unfair is human justice! How many victims of bad judges atone for the faults of others! How many innocents have seen the prison bars close before their eyes, while the guilty walks free invisibly carrying his bundle of theft and crime? Spiritually your world is imperfect. You must help it rise. The material world, the planet, is not close to its disintegration, but the end of that world of errors and sins, of darkness and bad science, will come with the light of my doctrine, and on its rubble I will raise a new world of progress and peace. Your mission as servants will not end in 1950, on the contrary, it will be when you begin to stop being disciples to become teachers who, with a word of love, guide humanity along the path of light. Great spiritual legions await only this purification among men to incarnate and dwell again on earth. They have a great mission and expect you to leave your place for them. I come to explain my doctrine to you, materializing my word to make you understand who you are. Never be intimidated by the weight of responsibility I have placed on you, but weighs the burden of sin. The abyss with its darkness is more painful than the light that exists on the top of the mountain where the Master dwells. Again I tell you that the yoke of Jesus is sweet. I have called you Israel, because in your spirit there is a mission of peace, a destiny of spiritual harmony with all humanity, because you are the firstborn, because you were not born from Jacob alone, you come from beyond him, from beyond Abraham. Your starting point dates from before I sent the first man to earth, who formed a family from which I chose the seed to form my people strong in faith, obedience and love for the invisible God. That's how I prepared it and blessed it, and it remained like a beacon in the midst of humanity. You lacked nothing to carry out your destiny, and, nevertheless, you saw other peoples emerge higher than you who then humiliated you with chains of slavery. Were they people superior to yours? Neither in matter nor in spirit were they greater than you, in whom the Father had overflowed with the precious gifts of inspiration, wisdom, beauty, love, health and strength. I prepared you so that you would be like a mirror of my love for all creation, where humanity would contemplate me, and as a source of crystal clear waters where those who thirst for truth will quench it. But, finally humans, you faltered, and in your decadence you were subdued by other peoples. At this time I come to look for you and to be very close to you, reminding you of my law, awakening your spirit so that it listens to the voice of conscience and saying to your heart, "Awake, the chains that overwhelmed you were broken by death, and today life has given you back your freedom." That is why I have come among you in the third era. Do not believe that only within the people of Israel have existed prophets, forerunners, and spirits of light. Also in other people I have sent some of them, but men took them as gods and not as envoys, and created under their teachings, religions and cults. The people of Israel did not understand the mission that they had with other peoples and slept on a bed of blessings and pleasures. The Father had formed them as a perfect family in which one tribe had the mission of defending the people and maintaining peace, another worked the land, another tribe was fishermen and navigators, spiritual worship was entrusted to another, and so on. Each of the 12 tribes that made up the people carried out a different mission that together gave an example of harmony. But truly I tell you, the spiritual gifts that you possessed in those early times, you still have. See among you the prophets, see how men, women, the elderly and even children testify to my truth through their revelations. You possess the spiritual elevation to pray, the power to make yourselves heard and obeyed by the elements, of which you had examples in Noah, overcoming the fury of the waters, in Joshua, to whom you attribute that he stopped the path of the sun, about which I say that the stars have never stopped their course, and that it was my divine light, similar to a radiant sun, that prolonged the day and hid the night so that the people could achieve victory, while the universe continued its trajectory without departing from its laws of harmony. Moses also had power over the elements, and his voice was obeyed by the waters, the winds, and the rocks. I have entrusted this nature to man so that he may use it, but he has upset the order of creation and has become a slave to nature, in which he has often sought his God. In the second era, I gave you one more lesson on these teachings, when I made the storm calm by stretching out my hand, also when I walked on the waters or when I raised the dead. The miracles I performed at that time were to save the lost, to turn darkness into light and hate into love. I did not come to amaze or surprise men with what would serve only to astonish their understanding, like some who make themselves admired by men as superior beings by performing apparent miracles and who, however, are not capable of converting a sinner. I have not come to teach you superfluous or surprising sciences. I have revealed to you my existence and the reason for yours. I have disclosed to you that the fire that gives life and animates everything is love. It is the principle from which all of nature has sprung. Behold, you were born for love, you exist for love, you are forgiven for love, and you will be in eternity for love. Prepare yourselves, so that when my word ceases, you will go to the different nations of the earth, where you will find places whose origin is lost in time, in which its inhabitants practice worships and sciences in the midst of which the spiritual realm has manifested itself. There you will hear about transformations, wonders and miracles before which you will be amazed. You will be prepared, because you will have to endure great tests. You will feel confused at times when in the bosom of those men you see them communicate with the spiritual realm, doing wonders that you could not have done. When they present you with writings containing their history, their laws and precepts, you will open your eyes so that you are not confused with the material wonder, with the external prodigy, but also so that you can admire and imitate them in everything that your conscience and intuition says that contains truth. You will also find in them an eagerness to find the path that leads to perfection, a longing for eternity. Others you will surprise in their spiritual ecstasy, of which they have made a fanatical worship. They are like parasitic plants because they neither comply with the laws of love dictated by God, nor do they comply with the duties of the earth. These doctrines will not spread to other peoples, because true spirituality will destroy fanaticism and mysticism. I have taught you from the earliest times a law that is fair with the spirit and with the matter. Remember that on a certain occasion I said, "Give to God what is God's and to Caesar what is Caesar's." Many will be surprised and even misjudge you when they hear that, being my disciples, you comply with the law of material work, when they see that you have a wife or husband, that you have children and family, that you know how to recreate yourself in contemplation and in the fruits of nature, whom you love as a mother. Then they will ask you, why, if you are servants of the Lord, do you not live only in the contemplation of the spiritual? You will also find those who possess the gift of prophecy, and you will be surprised, because certainly among them there are advanced spirits. Prepare yourselves when you are tested, and I will speak through you, and if that preparation is also clean, simple and pure, you will see my wonders. I am speaking to those who must fulfill their mission as apostles and prophets in other lands, so that they do not flaunt the mission that I have entrusted to them. These will not cause scandal-fighting religions or beliefs. Others will be the ones who promote scandal against you, without knowing that with this they will be helping you to spread my doctrine, awakening the curiosity of many, which will later become faith. For some this existence will be their last reincarnation. It is time that you prepare the trip for the beyond. Fill your storehouse with good seed so that with a firm step you may respond to the call that I will make to you in the spiritual valley that awaits you and from which no one will be able to flee. Each of you has been assigned a number of spirits that you must help to rise, leading them along the path of my truth. No one will arrive without his portion, because he will not be received. Fight and work, enjoy learning and teaching. I am fertilizing the lands, removing all weeds from them so that my sowers find them prepared by my charity. Then a road will open before your eyes through a desert, offering you its oases, and there on the horizon the white silhouette of the promised land, whose open doors will invite you to pass with the portions and with the peoples that will not only love the same God, but will practice the same spiritual worship. Convert with your prayer the beings in darkness, who like armies that combat and fight while you sleep. Realize that around you and above you floats and shakes an unknown realm, where light fights against darkness in a war whose noise and influence upset your world, your heart and your mind. That is why tranquility and peace have also fled from the heart of humanity. More blessed is the one who, feeling that battle, prays because he will prevail. Whoever takes the judgment of this time as mere coincidences does not know that he will be at the mercy of death, pestilence, plagues and famine. Rest on dry land, stop your step under the shade of this palm tree, and listen to my voice so that you may heal from all your ills and regain strength to continue your walk. You do not need to tell me what you carry in your heart, or where you come from, because I know everything. I know that your spirit approaches the Father after winning the great struggle it sustained to move away from crooked paths, that you come to seek support and strength in me so as not to faint. When you were about to weaken, when your energies were already running out, you rose to me to ask me for help, and I instantly responded by calling you to this oasis of peace, so that you could have a rest through the infinite charity of your Father. How many revelations have you understood since the moment you first heard this word? Among them you understood that the Spirit is not perfected in a day, nor in a year, nor in a life, because having an eternal nature, its path must correspond to the reward that awaits it. You have learned to distinguish the voice from the conscience that always speaks of law, of love, of good, of righteousness and purity, of that other voice that comes from the senses of the flesh or from the passions of the heart, which does not always induce good. You already know that you have weapons to defend yourselves, you know what they are, you also know which is the shield that protects you, and you begin to make use of prayer, faith, good thoughts and firmness of will. You have learned to give their proper place in life to the different values that make up your being. You know that what is essential is in the spirit and that after it, occupying a worthy place, are the feelings, the mind, the bodily needs. You now know that the true spirituality in man does not consist in departing from the flesh or in rejecting the material, but in harmonizing your life with all of creation. However, for the spirit to be able to achieve that harmony, it is necessary that it always go ahead, that it be above the human, that it be the guide. If not, the spirit is not free and becomes a slave to the flesh, or an enemy of it. You know that on my path you cannot fake love, purity, or knowledge, because you sense that there is a gaze that sees and judges everything. Now you know that for your merits to be real, your virtues and works must be true, be inspired by love for your brothers. Fear not that I speak to you thus, I tell you again that I come to not demand the supreme perfection, but a constant effort to achieve it. Now, when you suffer, when you go through a hard trial, when you find yourself in the bed of pain, you know that the chalice of bitterness purifies and renews you, that the pain that makes you expiate some faults, that it is a wise lesson, then you finish it with patience and conformity. You have come to understand that I am building a temple in each one of you, and you no longer dare to destroy what has been built, on the contrary, you try to help me in this work. You have understood that it is not before men before whom you must make merits to receive praise or reward from them, but before your Father, who is the only one capable of valuing your works. Understanding all these explanations, however deeply rooted your passions may be, you will have to submit matter to the Spirit, which will be a principle for that harmony in order that must exist in man to be a worthy son of mine. The future of many beings depends on your gift, beloved people, do not doubt it for a single moment. Then, thinking of this truth, get rid of the last remnant of selfishness and work for tomorrow peace, unification, morality and spirituality. Do not doubt that you can carry out this work in the world, because it is not the first time that I entrusted you with my seed. Proof of this is that I speak to you in this way and you understand me. This is the continuation of my lessons, but not the end of this planet. The world will continue to rotate in space, the spirits will still arrive on Earth to incarnate to fulfill their destiny, men will continue to populate the Earth, only the way of life will change. The transformations that human life undergoes will be so great that it will seem to you as if one world were ending and another was being born. Just as in all times the life of man has been divided into eras or ages, and each one of them has meant for something, either for its discoveries, for the divine revelations that it has received for its development, in the sense of beauty which it calls art, or for its science, thus, the time that begins, the era that appears already as a new dawn, it will be signified by the development of the gifts of the Spirit, of that part that you should have cultivated to avoid so many evils, and which you always left for later. Do you not believe that human life can be totally transformed, developing spirituality, cultivating the gifts of the Spirit, and establishing the law that dictates conscience in this world? Ah, if you only knew how much your spirit keeps! But you do not know it, despite the millennia that you have been inhabiting the world, because in your egoism, which is love towards yourselves, you have only cared about science at your service. I will be the one who reveals to you the virtues, the gifts, the beauties, the power, and everything wonderful that is hidden in your spirit. This is the right time, now that you are reaping the last fruits of a world or of a life that is ending. Soon all peoples will understand that God has spoken to them in every age, that the divine revelations have been the ladder that the Lord has extended to men so that they could ascend towards Him. Some will call this new time the era of light, others the era of the Holy Spirit, others the era of truth, and I tell you that it will be the time of elevation, of spiritual recovery, of vindication. This is the age that I have wanted for a long time to live in the heart of man, and the one that has been continuously fought and destroyed by him. A time whose clarity is seen by all, and under whose light all the children of the Lord unite, not to a religion of men that welcomes some and rejects others, that proclaims its own truth and denies it to others, that uses unworthy weapons to prevail, or that gives darkness in exchange for light. People, when the time comes for you to get up to give the good news, you will preach peace, love, charity, unification, and fraternity with deeds. If on your way you find others who hypocritically and falsely were preaching the same thing, with your works you will expose their lie. But if, on the contrary, you find that by example they preach truth, love, and charity, join them in spirit, because their fight will be yours. I cannot fail to tell you that if you find yourselves impure, unprepared, unworthy to carry out this work, and you see that others have risen up to fight with due purity, do not block their way, because then your judgment would be double. I speak to you about everything, disciples, so that nothing surprises you, so that when you stand up for this fight you really know how to awaken in hearts the ideal of elevation. This land, which has always sent its harvest of spirits sick, tired, disturbed, confused, or with very little advance to the beyond, will soon offer me harvests worthy of my love for you. Sickness and pain will gradually be banished from your life, and by leading a healthy and elevated existence, when death comes it will find you prepared for the journey towards the spiritual mansion. Who can be surprised or lost when entering the unknown home, if already from this life his master has shown it to him in the moments of praying, meditating, dreaming, or being inspired? Now so much peace and so much material and spiritual well-being seems unattainable to you, because you look at all the confusion that reigns around you, confusion that will grow more and more in all orders of human life. But after this stormy night lets the light of the new dawn appear, the earth itself will feel that its new inhabitants come to sow true life with noble deeds, that they come to restore and rebuild, and that the destroyers, the profane and the impious have already left to find their purification. People, on this day I have revealed to you something of the divine plans of the Father for you. I have advanced you what belongs to the future, and I have prepared you for the fight that approaches all humanity. Meditate on this teaching and you will feel strengthened. My peace be with you.